The reciprocal tariff and the cunning and unfair way in which it is calculated can be termed as a huge fraud on a global scale, which has shook the stock markets around the world, eroded investor wealth, disturbed and in some cases halted international trades, crashed crude oil, and directly hit the manufacturers around the world. I will explain the calculation with a simple example which you can relate to as well as with real world example. And still you will feel shocked that this is not only unfair but also an illogical calculation just to bully. Hello everyone and welcome to the Fintelligent Investor channel. I'm CA Pratiksha Pai. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to our channel to get complex finance news and topics broken down into simple tidbits for you. So let's begin. If you feel that my talking speed is slow, you can watch on a faster speed. The relevant timestamps are also given. So let's dive in. We have all heard of bank frauds, stock market frauds, and many other frauds. But this reciprocal tariff move is a global scale fiasco committed by the government of a very powerful nation, that is US, and can only be termed as bullying. See, when we say the word reciprocal tariff, any normal person like you and me will understand that it is whatever tariff I impose on you, you too will impose on me the same rate, correct? But let me tell you, in the reciprocal tariff of Trump, there is neither anything reciprocal nor anything that can be called as tariff. The better word would be revenge penalty. In my video on reciprocal tariff, I had mentioned that when India was levied a tariff of 26% by Trump, the Indian side had said that we levy around 10% to 15%, and we need to know how this 52% is arrived at and how this is calculated. So finally, we know how it got calculated, and this has to be one of the most illogical calculations in the world of global trade and tariffs. The calculation method of reciprocal tariff. See, the tariffs levied by the US president is quite baffling. Country by country, like China has been levied 34%, European Union has been charged 20%, India has been charged 26%, and so on. And it is being told to us that this is just the half of what you are charging us. So, like in Indian context, it is being said that India is charging 52%, against which we are going to be charged 26% on our exports to US. But from where did this 52% come in the first place? There has to be some calculation to back this number, right? And now the world has got to know the calculation, which is shocking to say the least. See, the Trump administration has completely changed the definition of reciprocal tariff. They have not taken into consideration the actual duties that a country levies on US, but they have taken the trade deficits that US has with each country to arrive at the tariff rates to be imposed on each country. So say if India exports more to America and imports less from America, then it is a trade deficit for America. And America is using these trade deficits as the base to arrive at how much they would charge us as tariff. So now the tariff is being calculated as trade deficit with a country divided by total imports from that country divided by 2. Before I even start to explain this ridiculous calculation, let me first give you a relatable example so you will understand what I'm trying to explain. Example of tariff calculation. See, if you have a neighbor, okay, some good neighbor with whom you have good relations since decades. They borrow things from you, you borrow from them, and all that hunky-dory life is going on. One day, your neighbor borrows 1 liter of milk from you because milk has got over at their house. And you also at the same time borrow some sugar from your neighbor because sugar got over in your house. Now, for the sake of calculation, say the cost of milk was 50 rupees, which they borrowed from you, and the cost of sugar that you took was 40 rupees. So, all in all, your neighbor has to give you 50 and you have to pay your neighbor 40 rupees. Net net your neighbor has to give you that 10 rupees, which is that difference. Now imagine your neighbor's name is Donald Trump. What will he say? I have to pay you 10 rupees, which is a net difference on the milk worth 50 rupees that I took from you and sugar worth 40 that you took from me. Now 10 divided by 50 is 20%. So you are taking 20% more from me on whatever goods you have given to me. So I am gracious and I will charge you half of it, that is 10% on whatever you sent to my house. So I will charge you 10% as tariff on whatever that 50 rupees milk you gave me. So when you gave me 50 rupees milk, which I used, I will first keep 5 rupees out of that as my charges. And now I have to pay you a net of only 5 rupees. When I explain this, what is the one thing that you are feeling? That this has no logic, correct? Yes, that's what even I am trying to say. That this is highly illogical calculation. Please let me know through your comments what you feel about this calculation. Real world example. Now let us understand the real and actual figures and apply this calculation. US imports to a value of $440 billion from China and has a $300 billion trade deficit with China. This trade deficit divided by the total imports works out around 67%, which is what Trump alleged that China is imposing on them and levied half of it, that is 34% tariff on China. In reality, this is just a 67% trade imbalance and not a tariff imposed by China. But Trump administration alleged that China is imposing 67% tariff, which is not true. Similarly, with India, the trade deficit for US is around $46 billion, whereas the US imports around $89 billion from India, which when divided works out to around 52%, and the half of that, that is 26%, is imposed as a tariff on us. So again, 52% is just a trade imbalance between both these countries and not a tariff that we are imposing on them. Yet, we have been imposed a 26% tariff now, whereas India is imposing a tariff just in the range of 10% to 15% on US. US is majorly a consumer economy and has trade deficits with many nations. They import more and export less to these countries. This has been happening for decades now, and unfortunately now these companies have to pay up for having exported more to the USA, because now Trump wants to set right and get done with this decade-long deficits, and so he has imposed tariffs like this, which is not a standard economic practice. Conclusion. The tariffs imposed by the US, firstly, don't make any sense given that it is not even reciprocal in nature. It is just a bullying tactic and an arm twisting tactic, if you ask me. The base is that if a country is exporting a lot to America, then America is saying, yes, we are getting goods from you, which our citizens are purchasing and using. Because if the people in the US were not using such products, why would a country continue to export those goods, right? So yes, they are saying we are importing from you and using your goods from your country, and now we will penalize you only on top of it because you are selling goods to us but not importing as much from us. So it is your mistake that you are not purchasing from us in return, and now you have to pay the penalty. So yes, this was a quick video on how the tariffs are being calculated by the US Trump administration and how it really does not make proper economic sense. I hope this video was educative and useful to you. Please like the video if you felt that the content in the video was useful and helpful, as well as share it with your friends and family to spread the financial literacy. We will continue to come up with more such educative videos in personal finance. Till then, stay subscribed, stay connected. Thank you.